Yo, to GK's back with another project, Athia, or should I say Forspoken video. I've talked about this as one of my most anticipated games. This is a new IP from Square Enix, and I am super excited about it. I'm gonna catch you up on the story so far, what we know, what we don't know. I haven't done one of these breakdown videos in a while, so let me know what I should break down next. Should we go back to like a Cowboy Bebop? Should we do some animated live action, some gaming to movies? Should we do some new titled games like Pragmata, which got delayed, but I am still super hyped about that. Maybe even more than Forspoken. But I'm excited either way because I love new IPs and I absolutely adore the direction of Square Enix right now. They're taking a lot of chances, a lot of gambles on what they're doing within their franchises, like Final Fantasy making a battle royale and new IPs. So this is a win to me in all respects. So I do hope you enjoy. If you do, leave a like because that really helps me out. We've grown, we're over 100 subscribers, we're actually at like 110, and it's a really exciting time to keep making videos while the gaming industry kind of gets better. All know the lull right now in that next gen doesn't exist for regular people like me and you, except somehow 10 million consoles have been sold. I don't know who has them. They keep giving them away. Please give one to me and the people who watch these videos.
Yo, it's the Grown Kid Talk Show. Yo, it's the Grown Kid Talk Show. Yo, Grown Kid Talk Show. Yo, it's the Grown Kid Talk Show.
So as we know, the moniker Project Athia, part of that title is what is important. A character analysis of Athia is a persons with the name Athia are trailblazers, torchbearers, researchers, teachers, and they are who show others the way. This was just a baby knowledge-y kind of thing. I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not doing a deep dive into this because it's no longer relevant, but the trailblazers part is important when we're going to talk about the main character of Forspoken. Forspoken is just a word that people do not use anymore, that old literature feel. And in fact, we have to look at forspeak first in the transitive verb. Forspoken is the verb form. Definition of forspeak, now dialectic British, to cast a bad spell over. Bewitch, especially by immoderate praise. I would kind of just focus on the bad spell part, right? Because witches can cast spells and they don't have to be relegated to just evil type of spells. Bewitch is to kind of allure in a fascinating way. Again, doesn't have to have a negative connotation, but often does. Immoderate praise, where it's like undeserved praise almost, whereas the example was don't boast about the child lest you forspeak him. It's a child that hasn't done much yet. It's almost like jinxing, almost. And the major takeaways from looking at the definitions of those words is that we have a trailblazer and we have some kind of magic. That should give an inclination as to what this game's kind of about if you already couldn't guess that from the trailer. This comes from Games Radar. Project Athia becomes Forspoken, and here's everything we know about Square Enix's new fantasy adventure by Sam Loveridge. We do have a release date for PS5 and PC. The PC part there is very huge for Square Enix games to actually do that at the same time instead of just being a straight exclusive. The game will be exclusive to the PlayStation 5, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. It is a fantasy adventure from Square Enix and developer Luminous Productions, a studio formed from the Final Fantasy 15 development team. It's a story-led action game in a gorgeous fantasy world. Sony presented the first trailer at the PS5 reveal event on June 11th, but it wasn't until Square Enix's spring showcase that we got the real title and more details. The main character is Frey, played by British actress Ella Balinska, and she describes the character as a girl who's lost her way, both figuratively and literally. Frey, in like the terms of literature and mythology, you know, Freya, the Norse god. They say the word played by, so let's look at Ella and how that will be represented with this character of Frey. And I'm literally at a loss for words, honestly. This is beautiful, perfect casting of the character. Is she just the character? Like, we're just taking this person and being like, you're going in a video game. This is super dope. Obviously, Ella is a fire-ass girl, and I am sure Frey will represent that, not only in the way she looks and talks, because I did do some digging onto Ella. She is an accomplished person overall, let's say, but this seems like a perfect translation is all I'm trying to say. I'm obviously tongue-tied because gorgeous. So we have the girl who lost her way in an open world action adventure with snowy peaks, dense forest, and monsters that breathe fire. You control an agile young woman called Frey who's exploring a world not her own. That was said in the trailer as well, so she's lost her way and the world's not hers. Expect both combat and platforming, and Luminous Productions promises it will be story-led. If you know one thing about a Square Enix game, the story is pretty much always there every time. Hits on all fronts. The tale will be filled with beauty and dismay. I love the combination there. The beauty of dismay is also very beautiful and poetic. There's a heavy emphasis on the natural world with plenty of hints that you'll be both playing and fighting the elements throughout your journey. Very much integrated into the systems. And I'm going to talk about Dark Souls here for a second because that is a game many people can relate to in that you fight the environment as well. But the Dark Souls environment is to me now antiquated, right? Those were technical limitations and or choices made to not be able to jump or climb, and things are ridged and edged, and they say the word gravity. I'm a Dark Souls fan, of course, and I think that's cool and all for the time, but a integration of having to fight the environment in your game sounds much more like a next-gen possibility. I'm not knocking Dark Souls, don't hate me for that take. You kind of get what I'm saying there. The studio began life in March 2018, and Final Fantasy XV's lead programmer, Takashi Aramaki, is its first standalone game. And the Luminous engine got a lot of hate back then. The whole 15 stuff got a lot of hate. Undeserved and deserved, I will say, but we do have a great engine that is capable of really, really good things. I mean, look at Noctis's Lunafreya's hair. As we said, it will come out on PlayStation 5 and PC. Hopefully in 2022, it will be a 24-month time exclusive. 2 years on the console before it basically goes to Xbox. This is great in terms of Xbox fans having a chance to experience the game. I like the commendation, and it is kind of like more mature to say like, yeah, you guys could play it, you know, later and work on the PC port immediately, because PC is where it's at, no doubt about it. And it is like a confidence thing too. They no longer really need to hold an exclusive and keep it on the console because they've won the console wars. So shout out to PlayStation. From what we've seen, Frey will be a particularly athletic hero. The main character can run fast and leap great distances, crossing canyons by hopping between spires of rock. When she jumps, you can see grass stem from her feet mid-air, which suggests her abilities are somehow augmented by the ground beneath her. I feel like that is a very specific detail that I definitely wouldn't have picked up on in the trailer myself. To say that the jumping is augmented by the ground beneath her is very interesting, based on that the ground and the environment is going to play such an integral part of how you're traversing a level. Seems very interesting and very next-gen kind of thinking. Just seems cool. The same theme applies in combat. The trailer shows her coming face to face with 3 wolf-like enemies, patches of orange light, possibly fire, showing through their wiry frames. The woman summons roots from the ground which swallow one of the wolves. Again, the suggestion is that you'll be harnessing the natural world to solve problems. Is it going to be kind of old or archaic in that it's just abilities that you're using and you could only use them in the area? Or is the environment so dynamic and this kind of draw system and this magic person is in a world that's not theirs, so they're trying to figure it out, kind of lost her way and trying to use what is around? I love that. The trailer shows much larger enemies too, including a giant towering eye that is held up by what looks like a tree trunk and a massive dragon-like creature. This doesn't guarantee set-piece boss battles, but it certainly suggests they're likely. Square Enix has had a history of doing them very well every time. And we have more from Ella. As the first video game I've worked on, it's remarkable to see the incredible world and story of Forspoken come together, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy, said Valenska. Frey as a character is real, she's raw, she's a girl who lost her way, both figuratively and literally, and is a character I immediately connected with, as I feel many people around the world will too when they set off on this adventure. As a narrative-driven game, it sounds like the story will be the key to Frey's journey in Forspoken. Luminous has revealed very little, but enough for us to make some educated guesses. Firstly, our hero is wearing sneakers that look suspiciously like you'd find a pair in shops today. I love that look and aesthetic. That little touch right there really set the trailer of Project Athia, which is now Forspoken, off to me. We also know she's in a world not her own, so we might guess she's been transported from our world into a fantasy realm, but she doesn't appear frightened. She will rise is one of the game's taglines. Our hero is going to be learning as she goes, and we'd expect a tale of personal growth. Awesome. Female lead character that looks fucking dope and is going to grow. I mean, it's good. Other than that, we know very little. Luminous says that truths will be questioned and devotions will be doubted, and that Forspoken is twisted, tempestuous, and forbidding. We can't make much of that, but we're certainly eager to find out. Yeah, those are really interesting words. It seems like there's going to be a lot of beauty in the madness and the magic of it, and I just love the choices there. What we know is that the team writing the story is led by Gary Whitta, who has written for, amongst other games, Prey, and the Forspoken writing team comes from across the worlds of film, TV, games, and fantasy literature, he said on Twitter. Fantasy literature. Again, the tie-ins are getting more and more severe between genres and multimedia and gaming. I did a video on that a while back, never really followed up and went as in-depth if I wanted to, but fantasy literature. Who do we know who's working on a video game or has already finished it? George R.R. Martin just worked on Elden Ring, the new game from From Software. So the ties and everything is coming together and could possibly be one of the best times in gaming for original IPs. Some other tidbits of information that I thought were interesting and or funny. Square Enix CEO Yosuke Matsuda is really focusing on Athia. Sony is going hard on exclusivity and marketing for this game since it's a big reveal and an important project for Square Enix. And you might be thinking to yourself, important to Square Enix, but they're like at the top right now. They can't really do wrong. And to see someone at that level, a company or a producer or a writer or a song composer say like, this isn't good enough, we want to make this the best thing because this is important to us. It is important to show off the engine we created and we can make an original IP. Yes, they worked on Marvel Avengers and they have Final Fantasy that's original to them, but it's old now. Not old as in it's irrelevant, just old and it's not a new IP. And a new IP is what we all want, right? We all want new ideas. And I'm just a fan of the fact that they have this attitude about it is important to them and therefore they're going to prioritize it. The one thing I will say about this game was such a secret project for a long time that they were telling people to mislead them that it was Final Fantasy 16. And I love the fact that they tried to keep it secret. You know, imagine Dr. Dre trying to keep an album secret. It's just very hard to do when you reach a certain level, and I think they handled it pretty well. So let me know what you think about Project Athia, which is now Forspoken. It is time to change that and do away with the project. It has a title with meaning. I'm super excited for this game. I'm super excited to get next gen, but let me know either way. I do hope you enjoyed the video. As you can see, I was just super pumped. Probably rambled a little bit too much, but I'm the grown kid.